Welcome back, everybody. And this week I wanted to jump in and I'm going to start sharing some progress and basically just sharing what I worked on for the week. You know, last time I said I'm going in for a challenge to make sure that I do something creative every single day. And I have a story, a book that I want to kind of create characters to kind of tell the stories. And so that's what I've been working on this week. And so this is just going to be me sharing those pieces as well as kind of going on a rant about the meaning behind them and the story. So first, starting off, I still have pictures up here because I was working on this yesterday, the day before yesterday. And because my little buddy Macy, who is a true amazing soul and superhero, is back in the ICU, in the pediatric part of the hospital, with, you know, battling a lot of things with this COVID, and I believe she has COVID as well as pneumonia on top of that. So the reason I wanted to do this is because this is my own personal way of praying and just kind of sharing her story, asking for prayers, as well as the way that it works is that I hang up pictures. That way I'm surrounded by pictures and photos, which ignites memories. And then the amount of time and the amount of work that goes into actually creating a sculpture, you just spend that time really thinking about her, because she's the subject, about just all the things that she's overcome, all the things that, you know, the person that she is, all of her laughs, her sassiness, and just kind of putting that into a piece. And when I believe that when you put that much energy into something, it kind of helps to send that energy towards her, and sending those healing, those praying energies towards her. So that was one of the first pieces I wanted to share. And again, this isn't about creating a finished piece. This is about spending time on something and sharing it for the story rather than just the artwork behind it and the purpose behind it. So that's the first sketch I wanted to share. Now for my book, for the stories, I started out with this character here. And this character is basically, as you can see, the top part of his head is chopped off, and instead of a brain, there is going to be like a maze, like a labyrinth. And the idea, the story behind it, is that the labyrinth of the mind. So when you're going on a journey to rediscover your inner child, rediscover your creativity, you're going and trying to get to your soul. However, sometimes when you go inside, you get stuck in your head. A lot of people, including myself, overthink things, overcomplicate things. And the more you overcomplicate things, the harder it is to find, the harder it is to get to, the easier it is you give up. You start running into all these walls, all these other characters, these demons, these creatures. They start trying to sway you off course, trying to take you down. And so this is the first sketch. I'm not happy with the character. It isn't alive to me yet, but this is, you know, it put it into clay what I'm trying to create with it, and I'm going to have to go through a few more sketches to figure out exactly where I want the character to go. But this is actually a pretty good starting point, in that it does share exactly what I was going for. Just thinking about looking at a character that his mind is so intricate and so complex and overcomplicated. And even though a brain does show that, with how mixed up and patterned a real brain is, but I thought with going in with a labyrinth, it's more of a maze, and therefore you're not looking at it, oh, it's a head with a brain exposed. You're looking at it as, wow, this is a crazy maze, and you'll even look at it and kind of be like, I'm not sure exactly how to get to the center. not sure exactly how to get to where I'm trying to go, or do I even know if I'm trying to get to the center or if I'm trying to get to the other side? And that's one of the struggles that we have when we try to find anything, is that when we get lost inside our minds, you tend to not be able to figure out where it is you're going, where it is you're headed. A lot of us don't have like the target or a destination that we're going towards, and we're just wandering aimlessly. So on that path to creativity and trying to rediscover and connect with our inner child is going to be like going through that labyrinth in your mind and trying to dig deep and find your way to rescue them. So that was this one. Next one I want to share with you is the one we had a few weeks ago on tears. I did a little bit more with this. I had to move it to a different stand, and I'm still holding on to it because I still want to play around and I still enjoy the piece. But the storyline for this one is a tear shed stains the cheek, whereas a tear held back stains your soul. Meaning that when you shed your tears, you let it out, you let your emotions out. It's a way of exhaling, letting it go, and really getting in touch with those feelings instead of holding them in. Because when you hold them in, those things start piling up, and they start eating away at you at your insides. Think of it like a poison. You know, you let it out, you spit it out, and you know, you get that out of your system. However, if you hold it in, it starts eating away at your insides. And even though it may not be too bad at one time, over time it's going to grow, and it's just going to keep compounding. So that's what this piece is all about. And in the story, it's going to be about when you're finding your creativity and looking for it, you're going to have those moments to where you're going to feel discouraged, to where the path to get there isn't going to be a straight line up. It's going to be really rocky, like a mountain range, to where you're going to have some super highs and super lows. But it is all part of the process. And even in those super lows, as long as you can learn from them, those are going to help you skyrocket again. So there's definitely going to be some major emotions, especially connecting with your inner child, connecting with certain things you may have forgotten. And so as long as you can just take those and feel them, instead of shoving them down, you're going to go really far. And so that's why this one is still there and still being kept. Next up, this piece I worked on a while back over the summer, and it's kind of changed and altered, and I still want to play around with it. But right now I think that this piece right here would actually be a very good piece for the Muse. And she is kind of like an earthy fawn type of character, connecting with Mother Nature, but also just, you know, the kind of sultry, tongue sticking out, sly type of look I thought would work well for the Muse. And when I think of the Muse is what a lot of artists wait for. It is being struck by inspiration. And so, while it is definitely important, however, you should not be relying on it. Because a lot of artists say, I'm going to draw, or I'm going to do this or that when I'm inspired. And what happens is they don't stay consistent with it, and they start working once in a blue moon. However, if you start being consistent, start doing it on a daily basis, and you force yourself to do what I'm doing and make sure you're creative every single day, the Muse comes when you call her. And so instead of, I'm going to wait until I'm inspired, you say, inspiration strikes every day when I walk into the studio at 9 a.m. or whenever it is. And so that's what this character in this story is all about being able to inspire yourself, and just being able to get into the creative flow, and then having the Muse show up when you get in there, instead of waiting forever for her to show up. And yes, sometimes you're going to have a lot of bad pieces come out, but it's a matter of working through those to get to the better ones and to get to the real gold, the ones that really inspire you and just bring you to life. So that's why I decided I'm going to keep working on this piece and actually keep it and turn it into something, because this just kind of gives me that feeling of the muse. So that's that one. The other one I decided to bring back is, I originally started this. This is my own character for Dorothy. So originally I started it just because I wanted to create my own version of Dorothy, because Dorothy is a really pure and interesting little girl character. I never saw her as they kind of pushed her in the movies. I didn't see her that old. I saw her more as an 8 to 10-year-old, still really sassy, and especially with some of the things that she says to the lion, and getting angry and talking back to the witch from the books. And so I wanted to bring her to life in my own way and kind of create this strong but still cute little girl. So after that, though, one of the characters, or one of the concepts of my story, is being able to find a guide. After you enter the labyrinth of your mind, there's going to be a lot of creatures, a lot of monsters trying to pull you different ways. One of the things to help guide you is to find a teacher, an inspirational leader, somebody that's going to show you the way. And so for me, I've had a lot of teachers. I also look heavily towards my little heroes, as I'm inspired by all of those kids, all of the things, the amazing things that they've done. But looking at this piece, this is also another version of that, it's another version of a leader, of, finding somebody to be able to show you the way, to show you the path. Just because she's that spunky little girl that goes through Oz and doesn't give up and is able to go through and overcome anything. And being able to find, she's able to find people, the lion, the scarecrow, and the Tin Man on her journey to help her to, go through and navigate through Oz. So this is something I've done a few sketches on, and this was the one that turned out that I liked, and so that's why I kind of wanted to incorporate her into it. However, I'm not against trying some more sketches and doing more on that character and concept of finding someone to lead the way or to help navigate on your journey. But that's the story behind her. All right. And last but not least is this character. So I have two versions. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. So I have two characters here that are mermaid type of characters. And I wanted to create a water line, which will basically divide the face in half. And it's not only the mermaid concept, but also the iceberg concept of, a lot of people only focus on what they see on the outside when there's so much more underwater. There's so much more underneath. And so what I wanted to do was kind of break these up to where, I thought, how can I share this in a character and a sculpture? The whole iceberg effect and the concept behind that. And I was thinking, well, sirens or mermaids, because, when you see them portrayed, sometimes they're just kind of peeking out of the water. and you only see the eyes, these alluring eyes that kind of bring sailors into the water, to where once they go under, the sirens drag them down to the bottom and start feeding on them. So the first concept was exactly that, and you know, these big eyes, this, you know, this beautiful face, but yet underneath is these fangs, these teeth, this creature that you really don't know anything about. And so when I did this second piece, I kind of did the same thing. However, I have the hair kind of flowing out to kind of show that water line, and then I'm thinking maybe to do like a little ripple effect around here to kind of split that up. And I'm not really sure about the bottom of the face or how I'm going to kind of engage that. So this is still early on in the sketch phase. But going with the story I'm trying to share is that people, we are judged so much on, you know, first impressions, on exactly what they see. And so a lot of people look at these kids, these amazing heroes with disabilities, and they just feel so sorry for them, and they have a certain feeling and a certain look that turns into a stare. But yet when you really get to meet them and see the things that they go through, there is so much below the surface. Looking at Macy and seeing some of the things that she's done and had to overcome, especially when I went to visit her at the hospital before, and seeing everything that she's hooked up to, and she's still smiling and still being sassy and goofy. Like, she has gone through more things than I will probably have to go through in my lifetime. And she stayed a lot stronger than I would have been able to. And when I meet these other kids that, you know, are going through other issues, but yet they're still so optimistic, so strong, so happy. Or when you see somebody that you don't believe is that strong or that outgoing, but yet when you learn more about their history and what they've been through, you can just kind of break down, because you're like, wow, I would have never thought that you've been through all of that. And so this is really about not judging a book by its cover, and by looking past the surface of the water, and seeing what is really beneath that. How much is beneath the water, and how deep that really goes, and how strong that really is. Because what you see of the iceberg is just one small portion of everything that's beneath it. And so even with this character, yes, you may see you may see beautiful eyes, a beautiful girl that may seem fragile, but yet you look beneath the surface and you see how fierce she is, how strong she is, and how hard she had to fight to get to where she is. Or you may look at this and see something superficial up top, and then something real and pure underneath. Or the flip side, you know, it could be somebody that is just covered in plastic surgery or makeup, and then just covering up a dark soul that's underneath, or even an evil soul that you just never thought to get past the surface because of her looks or his looks, or, you know, what they have, the things that they have, or the things that they buy. And you haven't dug deep enough to figure out that there isn't much after that. So that's what this piece is supposed to symbolize. So that's the pieces I've been working on for this week, and I'm going to keep doing more sketches. I still got a lot more story prompts, and I still got to tweak to see how I want these characters to kind of shine, and to keep working on them to see how finished I want to do them, and if any of them are going to be finished to be cast, or if they're just going to be sculptures for the images that I take and the stories I tell. But that's where I'm at the moment. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. Please let me know if there's anything else you guys would like to see, if any of this has helped you. And that's about it. I will talk to you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Go out there, get creative, and have fun.